Hello and welcome to SDN Tech Forum. In this video, I'm going to show you how to work with Docker. Not Docker 101, like discussing about Docker fundamentals. For that, you can visit YouTube or Docker website itself. So Docker is the most famous container technology in market, and the agenda is how to install Docker, test the Docker install. Then we are going to pull a Docker image, start and attach to the container and all those things. So what is Docker? A container is a process extracted from tarbals, anchored to namespace and controlled by CZ group. So Docker is kind of like abstract concept, right? Controlled by CZ group, and it's a part of namespace. Now this is the most famous slide or image available on internet, which compares your virtual machine with Docker container. So you can see that Docker container doesn't rely on hypervisor, and the libraries are also shared. No need of like individual guest OS. So it's a very lightweight, and that is why it's easier to like faster to switch on and switch off, start and stop. And there are the three blocks, building blocks within Docker. So Docker client side, how you deal with Docker, then that container itself, the container and images, and then finally the registry. So you can have local registry or you can have a remote registry. Now let's go back to Docker website. So Docker docs is your best source of truth or for your info. So I'm going to show you how to deal with Docker in Mac because I am using Mac. But if you're using Ubuntu, you can use Ubuntu level install. So in Docker, for Mac, I have installed Docker Desktop. So let's check Docker version. It's 1903 and the Docker version. And I have installed Docker Desktop, which is very useful. So it's a desktop DMG app which you can install in your Mac, and then it will can help you to connect to the registry. You can also do your resource allocation and everything. So right now you can see this is my Docker info, Docker desktop info, 16 containers, everything is top, 18 images, and then operating system is Docker desktop. Now I'll show you how it looks like once you install them, Docker desktop. So it is running. You can see Docker desktop community engine is 19.3, and I'm going to show you the preferences where you can set the resources and other things. So this is all about install, and then we'll get started on how to work with containers. So these are like Docker desktop preference settings. Resource wise, you can see CPU allocation, swap, memory, and what images you can wanna allocate. And then finally you can also manage Kubernetes also, but right now I have not enabled Kubernetes. That is in our following up video. Okay. So this is about Docker desktop. Now let's get started with Docker container itself. So let's check our install. What you can do, Docker run hello world. This is the best option to check if Docker daemon is running. And once you run this image, this is the standard message you are going to get, that client connected to Docker daemon, you are good. Now you can try advanced things. So beautiful. Now let's pull a Docker image from internet. And Alpine is very famous lightweight Linux version. So I'm going to pull a Docker pull Alpine and see it first. It will look in the local registry. If it is not there, then it is going to go to internet and then pull the image from there. So Docker image ls is going to list all the images is available on my local machine. You can see I pulled Alpine just now. That's why it's mentioned as latest. And now let's start the Docker. So Docker run -it, and then you put the image ID. So image what I pulled from internet, I'm going to just use that image to create the container. So image is your like a source file or the code, and once you do Docker run, it actually spin up the Docker container so that you can attach to the container. So you can see that Docker run IT, when I put that, I am attached to that container, and PSEF, all the processes and all the files, they are just related to that container. That's why when I do ls-l, I'm only attached to, it is only showing file attached to my local system, and Docker PS is showing all your running container images, not exited images or container which are stopped. So Docker PS to list all running containers. Once you do that, you can see our container is running and it has got a container ID, and it is using the image what we specified while creating the container. If you want to see all the container, whether it's stopped or exited, you can use Docker PS-A and it's going to list all the containers, whatever you have run on your machine. Then Docker PS, let's check it again. Now what we would like to do, we would like to attach to this container again. So I created this container and then I detached it. Now again, after some time, if you want to attach to the same container, you can use Docker attach command. And again, as you can see, it is going to list on the processes running within the container only. So that's quite easy. Yes, escape sequence is your control P and control Q. So whenever you want to exit out of the container safely or without stopping it, use control P and then control Q, and that's how you are going to come out of container. Now you can also stop your container so with Docker stop command. So but you need to have this Docker ID, container ID. It's going to take a little bit, probably a few seconds, and then you can press enter. It will give you the confirmation that yes, it will just list the container again. That means it is stopped. So right now you can see Docker PS, no container running. So we started the Docker, we pulled the image, we created the container, we attached to it, we detached to it, and then we eventually stopped the container. Now what we want to do, we want to create another image, our own customized image from the Docker image. So I pulled Alpine from internet. Now if I want to do some modification to that image or customization to that image, how I can do that? So for that, you not only need image, you also need source file, because the source file is where all the layers and steps are mentioned. So you can go to wherever you downloaded your image in the same Git repo. Generally Docker file or source file is hosted. You can pull that in your local machine and edit that. So I did the same thing. I pulled the Alpine 310, the same image what I used to spin container. I downloaded the Docker file or source code in my local machine and copied it to Alpine 310. Now let's go to Alpine 310. Here you can see all these files, right? So the most important file is Docker file, which is like recipe for this container. So you can see cat Docker file, and these are like steps or things what you need to do to run build this container. So runtime variable, some add, and all those things. Now what we are going to do, we are going to edit this Docker file and or customize this Docker file to make an image of our own. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this source file to another directory and do some modification around it. Okay, so I actually copied Alpine 310, the source file what I downloaded from Docker. I'm now copying it to different directory. So it's going to be like a replica of that, and then I'm going to do some modification. So you will see, sorry about that. Yeah, so Alpine 310, I made a copy of Alpine of that in Alpine copy. Now let's go to Alpine copy and you can check. It has the same files available, like everything. The only thing what I did, I did a small modification in Docker file. I'll show you what is that, cat Docker file, and you can see that I did a copy OS release to /etc. That means I added one extra variable. So, and that you can see OS release is a directory available there. And then if I have to see what is under cat OS release, this is just a pretty version ID and the pretty name. Okay, so small modification, basically just for illustration purpose. So now we have our customized source file. Now let's build a Docker container or Docker image with this Docker source file, the new source file what you customize. So for what for that what you need Docker build command. I'm going to say Docker build, tag it -t, give it a name. So for me it's SDN Tech Forum /alpine/new, because I already have some Alpine images there. Okay, Docker build help, exactly one argument. Okay, so I'm going to post everything what we are doing here in my GitHub. You can download that. So what I'm trying to do is saying here, build the Docker with this tag in my current directory, and you can see that it has followed certain steps 1 to 12. Some of them has skipped because if it is, the layer is already there, and now successfully built the container successfully and tagged it with SDN Tech Forum /alpine_new. So that is our image, and we have got the image ID as well, 8876. Now let's check our image, Docker image ls. You can see SDN Tech Forum /alpine_new. That's what we tagged, and this is our image ID. And we basically, since this was built from the other source and there was no major modification, that's why it is still referencing to the original image. It didn't change here. Okay, so we have our new image with small modification available, and now let's spin up a container with this new image. So right now you can see there is no container running. Let me start the container, Docker container again -it, and use the image with the tag /alpine_new. As soon as you hit that, you are attached to the container, and you do ls-l. Here you can see all the files and folders, and then cat etc os release. So the modification what we made, it is visible here. That means this container is built with our own image or our own customized image. Now see the processes. Now if you want to detach from the container without killing it or stopping it, just use the sequence Control P and then Control Q. Very important. Sometimes people are like, every time you just type exit, that means it's going to stop your container or kill your container, and whatever processes are running, they will be killed. So if you want to safely detach from your Docker container without stopping it, just remember the sequence Control P and then Control Q. Yeah, see, if I do exit, now if I do again Docker PS, you will see that there is no container running because it actually killed it, right? So that's why please remember, if you want your container to be running, use Control P and Control Q. All right, this is like a small thing but very important. That's why I just put some emphasis on that. Otherwise every time you say exit and you will be lost. So so now we have built our Docker image. So according to the agenda, the final thing is push this new image to the registry. You may have local registry, but in my case I have a remote registry on internet. So I'm going to go to my Docker Hub account. So if you don't have a Docker Hub account, please go and get one. It's a free account. I'm going to just sign in, and here you can see this is my username, and then I have a repo called learning amit3bcrec /learning. This is my repo, and I have some images already available from my previous work, but you will see that there is no image called Alpine new. So what we are going to do, we are going to push Alpine new, the image what we just created, we are going to push that over to the registry. But before that, what you want to do, you want to tag it. uh, uh, so just prepare to prepare the push, you have to tag the image with your Docker username and repository. And it's always good that when you are working with Docker, uh, 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 one command after that, there is no space by default, so sometimes it's very difficult to read through the command. So I will say, once you enter a command like docker image ls, press a couple of more enters and then try to issue another command, so it will be like easy to read. So let's grab our image. We have SDN Tech Forum Alpine underscore new. Now let's tag it. So what I'm saying, Docker tag this image, and this is my username Amit SI 3BCREC / learning is my repo, and then the tag, the image what I want to tag. Okay, so the image is tagged. Now you can see Alpine is tagged. Now it is ready to push. So we are going to use Docker push command. So you can see that Amit 3BCREC and / learning, the tag Alpine new is applied to that, just how we did previously, Docker tag. So it's a tag now. Now let's push it to the repo. So if you are confused with how to tag or how to push, just instead of Amit 3BCREC / learning, use your Docker repo info over there. Replace it with your user ID and repo. So I'm just showing you that Docker login. I'm already connected to Docker Hub, but if you're doing it first time, probably you have to do a Docker logging, that you can do via this command, Docker logging. So, but for me, I'm already connected, so login is succeeded. Now I'm ready to push the image what we tagged. So what I'm going to say, Docker push and Amit 3BCREC / learning, the tag, what the image, how we tagged it, Alpine underscore new. Right now I'm gonna show you again that there is no Alpine underscore new on my repo. There is one Alpine, but that is my Alpine. And let's come back and push it. Once you push the command, it's like, say, layer already exists and this and that, because Alpine new is already there. My Alpine is already there. Now if you refresh, you can see Alpine new image is available on my repo, and it is available for me or for anybody to download. They can simply copy this command. That means I have published it publicly, but this is my public repo. I can apply some private settings also, but this right now it's public. So you can copy that, and anybody can pull that image. So it's very easy to share. It's very easy to share with community or within company. I can build image and then I can push it to registry, and from registry other users can also download it. Now if you want to remove Docker image rm, is your friend, is the command. But since I have, say, one image tagged multiple times, that means it is referenced to multiple places, I may not be able to delete it. And also you cannot delete an image if your Docker container is running. So you need to stop your container and then only you can delete it. So if you have any resource constraint, always feel free to finish your work and save your image, and then you can simply exit the Docker container so that you can save on some resources and CPUs. So now you can see that there is no container running, and if I'm trying to remove it again, but as I said, image is reference in multiple repo, that's why I'm not able to delete it, which is normal. Now this is our end of our video. This was like just working with Docker, get familiar with some commands, try some hands-on. Once you have done that, in next video I'm going to deep dive into Docker networking. Like we are going to connect to a container and see what are the different networking option is and how two containers can talk to each other. Thank you.